Clark Lee joins us, head coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores. Coach, congrats on the season thus far. Hope things are well.
Yeah, all's well, man. We're just now focused on Utah State, so on to the next one.
That sounds like a very successful
Yep,
coach there.
exactly.
Let's focus on those. So how have you kept the mindset of your team on to the next one? Meaning, you ignore the noise. You stick with the focus of the narrative that you want, not what the outside is focused on. In this day and age, how do you keep a locker room of young men focused on that same path?
Well, we're very intentional about setting a high bar for our own expectations from the season, and we catch a lot of flack for that, but it helps us stay grounded in these moments too, because you recognize that you're only as good as your next performance, and when you win a game, it gives way to another big game, and we all signed up for more than 4-0 was never something we talked about at the beginning of the season or in training camp or in January or in the summer. It's just that's not on our list of things to do or to accomplish. So it inevitably gets you a chance to reset. And I think a lot of this, the mentality is built over time. It's not something we get to in the season, but this idea that we're in a marathon, not a sprint, that each week's going to take our best effort, and we hope to play better football at the end of the season than we played at the beginning of the season. And we're a third of the way through, and yet everything we want's out in front of us. So we have to stay focused, and most importantly, we have to tend to the internals, but ignore the externals, because no one from the outside can tell us what we need to be focused on or who we are or what we're about. It's all about what we do, what we invest, how we act inside that gives way to the performances we want.
And Coach, I know you hate speaking to history because you are living in the moment of what you envision Vanderbilt being now and moving forward. But I do want to talk about kind of a two-season story here. A year ago, you guys lose to Georgia State in that game. And this year, you talked about the expectation being your expectation for the team and your guys buying into that and understanding that. And I find myself, when I see games, like I'm not surprised when you run away from Virginia Tech. I'm not surprised with the outcome at South Carolina. And I feel like a lot of people on the outside are still shocked when they see that. I think because your program and team is different, it feels like the entirety of the SEC is different this year. We're talking about 1 through 16 and the quality of the league. And in large part, that's because of you and what your program has accomplished. Does it feel different this year with sort of year two of it? I know they're two different teams, but a lot of similarities with the growth you've seen from this group.
Well, a couple of things. First, I lost you about halfway through that, so I'm gonna do my best to answer it based off piecing the two ends together. This is for sure. And look, our internet's a little unstable here, probably because the construction's ongoing outside, which just will continue to enhance this fan environment, 1 week at a time.
Yep.
It's for sure a different team. Part of that is, look, we retained the parts of our roster we wanted to retain. You're building a second year on systems, both offense and defense, and really special teams too. We've changed who's calling the defense, but the structure of the defense hasn't changed, and so our kids have a better awareness. Obviously, Tim Beck, second-year play caller on offense, I think has done a masterful job to this point. We added some weapons offensively that have helped grow that group. I think our play in the offensive line is leaps and bounds better than it was a year ago. That's second year under Chris Klanakis. We're second year with Robert Steiner in strength and conditioning. And so, I think if I went back to 22 and said, hey, what was my expectation from 22 to 23? Was that another year in systems would produce a better team. And what I realized was we had some pretty critical course corrections we needed to make with respect to the systems that we were using, offense, defense, and in the weight room. And so now I think we're on track. We're on this course now where every year should give way to a little better product on the field, a little the speed of play should quicken, and we've enhanced the players and their skill levels too, both through the development and also the addition of guys through the portal. So there's a lot that's creating a different team in 25 than in 24. I thought Saturday was a great example of kind of that growth, and I don't, I mean, look, every game we play, I can see the way that it'll go really well for us. I can also see the way that we could be distracted and not play to our level and make it hard on ourselves. Ultimately, this is a mature group that has taken ownership of our process through the week, and to this point, they've shown up and played Vanderbilt football on Saturdays. If we continue to do that, there's not a game we can't win on our schedule. The challenge is the consistency of it, and that's where the wear and tear of the season can get you. But for sure, this is a different team. For sure, the attitude mentality is different. But we would not be where we are without 2024, without Team 4. And so the legacy that those guys kind of helped us put in place lives on. We've just built upon it, which is what a good program should do.
Coach, are there any subtle adjustments, maybe just some very noticeable ones when it comes to trying to figure out the wear and tear of Diego Pavia, knowing what happened last year, and just the war of attrition is real on every player, but knowing how things unfolded for him in a very physical game that he plays, are there things that you're adjusting this year to maybe set yourself up for less of that come November?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got, the numbers I don't have in front of me, but the number of guys carrying the football, the number of guys receiving the football, we're spreading the ball around a bunch, getting it out of his hand, a little more, some design gives that we had adopted in the off season to help kind of just get a little more nuanced with our running game through the tailback. And we're pass protecting better too. I think we've created a cleaner pocket for him, which is allowing him to create, but also taking hits off him. And then we've been able to get him out of the game a couple of times this year too, which I think there's no better way to help him sustain than taking the snaps off him. So there's not enough that's being said about his growth and his development right now. I think I said this in post game on Saturday, but the game is really slow for him right now. He's making great decisions with the ball. I think he's facilitating performance in our skill players on offense, and I'm super excited about where this goes. I think he's found ways to elevate in his game, his performance, his consistency, and our team's benefiting from that. If you look at our offense efficiency, over the last few weeks, I mean, we're finishing drives in the end zone, which is always a good thing,
No doubt, and it's very. I would say, Chad and I were talking about this last week. It's rare to see the offense where you don't know. It's not third and pass. It's not second and run.
Yeah, there's a lot of variability with guys who can make plays, which is different as well. Also different. Is Theo Vaughn on your coaching staff now? I'm looking down, and he's right there with Diego after he scores a touchdown. Is he a full-time paid member?
He'll show up at times in cleats for practice. So I think maybe he's a player coach. We'll go back to that role, and he'll run some routes and also do some coaching. But no, we appreciate Theo, man. He's a life force. We just he's taken an interest in our program and created friendships with guys on the team, but also he and I have a friendship, and appreciate him and the energy he brings, the spirit he brings. We love having him around.
It's good to be cool, right? Like when you get Theo Vaughn interested and other celebrities, and even a game, in late September against Georgia State at night, and I didn't get a chance to go, but I'm watching on television, and it just felt cool. And that's a good spot to be in for your program, right? When you're in the business of trying to sell young people on coming to your program and recruiting, how nice is that?
Well, I mean, what is the saying? Everyone loves a winner, and we've been very deliberate about building a program, and again, what I'm proud of most is the level of connection this program has. We say relatedness is our edge, but I mean, this is a team that cares about each other. And I think every coach in the country would say that. It's something that I feel tangibly, we have really good people in this program. And I think the community pulls for us because of that. And now we have a dangerous team, and that doesn't mean that we're going to, because we're dangerous, we run the table. We got to be very deliberate in our process and play the game the way we need to play it to win. But I don't take for granted the energy we've created with how we're playing on the field. And I love the fact that Nashville's starting to pay attention to our program. And once you kind of set this flywheel in motion here, this begins to capture the potential of what we can create here, right?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt football, the highest bar for Vanderbilt football has to include, the city of Nashville getting behind it. And as you say, the celebrity interest, being cool, the style of play we have, I think attracts people. And we're physical, we're tough, we're explosive. And I think honestly, the city of Nashville is a tough place too. This is a gritty community that wants to watch football a certain way. And I think right now we're putting that on the field for them. And so I hope that we can continue to do that so they can continue to show up. And it's been a lot of fun. And because of where we are, we have that opportunity to reach into the music scene. Obviously, with Theo and Nate Bargatze, we have a good comedian contingency. Willie Geist was with us on Saturday with his family. It's great to have him around. There's so much potential here that again, our focus has to be on the products we put on the field, but we're not going to slow that energy down, because it creates something that allows us to elevate, what we're reaching for.
I know you're focused on this week. I hope you'll follow me here, though. Like I would describe in years past Vanderbilt, and maybe this is how opponents would think. They're a threat to keep us out of the college football playoff. And now I look at it as Vanderbilt is a threat to get into the college football playoff. I think you know where I'm going there. I'm looking at the schedule. You know how momentum works across the country. If you go 5-0, you're at Bama. You win that game. Diego Pavia is being mentioned for Heisman. And then it's a snowball effect.
You're not the potential pitfall for the candidates. You have potential pitfalls now. It would be right on the schedule.
That's where you're at. I mean, that's credit to you, your program, and the players, and Diego, and everybody. But it's not just Nashville doesn't want just a winner. They want a winner who continues to raise the bar. That is how you do it. And you're intentional about thinking down the road. There's no doubt you've thought about this.
Well, this team has set goals to play into January. I mean, we talked about playing 17 games. That's language that we don't have to like. It's not like we're yelling and screaming it. I mean, that's how we communicate with one another. The discipline part of this is that you got to stay in the present. You got to live in the now. You can't hold it too tight. You can't allow one result to knock you off course. So we have to be a resilient team. At some point, we're going to disappoint ourselves. I mean, it's just inevitable. That disappointment could be in a sloppy win. It could be in a runaway loss where we have to allow it to galvanize us and keep us heading in the direction we want to go. But inevitably, the season challenges you. And so far, we've been able to reset each week. So far, we've been able to elevate our performance on the field. So far, we've been able to keep the long-term goals we have for this team within reach. And it's a week-to-week process for us now. But all the things you speak of, and part of that is that external noise that gets created, and sometimes that can be when you give too much attention to it, you start to again hold it too tight, and it takes you from the now. We've set our goals, we've set our piece about where we want to be. Now each week is a new climb, and the goal is the evolution of the climber. So how are we improving? What are we learning about who we are and where we are and how we get better? I think Georgia State helped teach us, a lot of things about our team, both good and places where we need to improve. And we have a Utah State team here that is, coached by Bronco Mendenhall, who's a friend of mine who I admire. Nick Howell's on his staff. There are a couple of guys on that staff that have been with us here at Vanderbilt. And so this is a team that's going to be designed to challenge us in ways that we'll learn a little more. But what we know to be true is if we show up and play the right way, play Vanderbilt football, we're going to have a chance to get the result we want and keep stacking the kind of positive momentum you speak about. It's all about our focus in the present.
Chris Lowe from On3 reporting the 3 annual opponents for the SEC, each team starting next year. I know official word coming out tomorrow, but we've got the 3 annual opponents. For Vanderbilt, it's going to be Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. Just curious, Coach, how much input do coaches have when it comes to that with the league office, with your athletic director, about what annual rivalries or what games either make the most sense or most important for each program?
Well, I mean, the fact that I'm learning that from you tells you about how much influence.
You want to hear the 3 again?
It just came down about an hour ago, so yeah, you probably would just now hear from me. For Vandy, it's going to be Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State every year for the next 4 years, and then the other 6 opponents will be determined every other year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they've the system. I know there's all kinds of algorithms and formulas and all that. You guys kind of know me well enough to know it's just like hand me the schedule and tell me where we're playing. And to be honest with you, I'm going to deal with 26 when 26 comes. But I'm excited for the 9-game schedule. I'm excited for our conference. I think it's it's going to challenge us in different ways. Obviously, we have the 9 games plus the A4, and again, that we didn't really have any. I mean, we have opinions as coaches, and we had conversations back in the springtime, but all these kind of decisions have come down in the last few weeks. So we're reading the news and coaching our teams, I think it's going to be really interesting to see where this thing heads in the next few years. But as it is, the fan base, the community gets more SEC football, and I think that's a good thing for college football.
Hey, we'll let you go tell Diego his opponents for his 7th year coming up. What'd you think?
Another shot at Auburn, beat him with New Mexico State, Vandy. And
what'd you think whenever that popped off? And then Diego posted, he's like, "No, this is my final one. I'm done."
Yeah, I mean, I want Diego to get started on his NFL career. I mean, I'm so excited. I mean, obviously, we're going to get everything we can out of this season, and there is not a day that I don't come to work grateful for him and excited to work with him. And you guys have gotten to know him. I mean, he's such a special person. But this dude needs to play in the NFL. I mean, he's I think he's that good. He thinks he's that good. The world is learning about how good he is. He's found ways to improve here in his 6th season. And would I take him back for a 7th? Absolutely.
Yes.
But I want to drive him to the draft and hear his name called and watch him go take that league by storm too.
No, that's why players want to play for him.
That's right,
Coach. Hey, thank you for the time. I know it's a busy time of year, busy week, game week, all that. Best of luck moving forward, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, guys. Hey, always good to be with you.
Yeah, man.
Yep, thanks, Coach.
There's Clark Lee. Happy for that guy and happy for the program because they've set lofty expectations and they back it up. And he's right. There's going to be the fall. The fall's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
There's going to be adversity. There's going to be losses at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
But
everyone thought they were crazy when Diego Pavia saying we're going to go to the playoff and that's our goal, or we want to win a conference championship.
National championship.
It doesn't seem so crazy now that they're ranked 18th in the country and they're undefeated.
But it's by setting our goals to win the national title. Okay. You're sitting there like kind of smirking, and I was at Diego when he said this, and he was like, "Why not?" Well, if you set the bar so high, then the expectation of just getting to the college football playoff is not that. It's not that extraordinary.
You can clip off other things along the way.
You can do things that the program hasn't done, and then you still don't feel like you've accomplished it all, even though you're trying to celebrate the small victories. That seems small to them, even though that is a major accomplishment. It's September, and Vanderbilt's ranked in the top 25. You don't see that. So I think that's the state of we're in college football, where you've got a program like this where NIL has played a major factor into why Vanderbilt is in the situation they're in.